Greetings, magical mages and spiritual sages. Welcome to Age of the Mage podcast, and this is episode 48. Today, we're going to talk about another one of the magical archetypes. So, I introduced these archetypes as part of an overall system that we're going to call the developing the magical persona. And these are just all different various kinds of ways for each one of us to take a look at ourselves, much like we would if we were doing a personality test or something along those lines. But in this case, look at ourselves through the lenses of magic and spirit and our soul energies, and just have some fun with letting our imaginations and our intuition and our feelings, getting in touch with those feelings, and letting all these things guide us to what kind of magical experiences are we most drawn to? How do we most generally use our magic? Those kinds of questions get answered as we look inside ourselves and work through these processes. So we're looking a little more right now at the magical archetypes, and they show up as, I would say, functions. They show up as ways that we use our magic. In the world, for example, if you were very good with languages, then you might find yourself being an interpreter. So in other words, the interpreter would be the function. The interpreter would be the archetype in this case. And the skill with language, that would be your skill set. So the archetypes, as I'm using them, are the ways that we use those skills and magic and talents and gifts that we have. And so today we are going to talk, we last introduced them with the first one that I call the warrior. And that was on episode, let's see, that was 47, in case anyone wants to look at that or hear that. Today we're going to look and talk about the healer a little bit. So we've approached the healer in the 7 soul lines, and that healing that comes through the 7 soul lines is a bit different than the archetype. Very similar, though. So there will be some overlap as we go on now and discuss the healer magical archetype. I have broken up these each archetype into 3 subcategories. And in the case of the healer, we'll be talking about the dimensional healer, the cosmic healer, and the aura or auric healer. And that's aura as in the aura of the body, A-U-R-A. All right, so let's just introduce healers a bit here. Healers are attracted to people and situations where their soothing energies are most needed. They seem to have a sixth sense when it comes to finding those who need their help. They often find themselves in positions of giving counsel, offering medical relief, or working on spiritual healing with those who seek them out. They're also drawn to explore and use direct, multidimensional healing techniques to solve physical as well as emotional issues. It's almost impossible for a healer to pass by a living entity in need without stopping to offer assistance, and for this reason, they're often depleted and must learn how to establish proper boundaries and take time for themselves to rest and recharge their own energetic fields. So you could approach healing from several different ways. The thing that the healers have in common is this drive and this draw, this attraction to help relieve situations, to help cure situations, to help elevate things and put things back together that are broken. And this type of energy just is throughout all the healers. But you could be a shaman and still be a healer. You could be a vampire, for example, one of the 7 soul lines, and be a healer. You could be a magi, an alchemist, a high magician, and still be able to use those skills that you acquire through your innate talents for healing. So it doesn't matter the style as much as this longing to help and assist and make whole again that we see inside the archetype. And that's how healers generally find themselves using their magic. If you go back from your life and try to get a big picture view, very often you'll be able to see similarities that in ways you operate and what you are drawn to over and over again, patterns. You'll recognize patterns. And when you look at it and you're assessing magical skills, spiritual skills, you can zero in on those and say, how do I most often see myself using these things? What am I most drawn to use my magic for? And we all are complex, of course, and we don't just fall into little categories and boxes, but we very often have two or three, I would say, of these archetypes that we use them more often than not. We have a preference for these styles of work. And others very different from us will find that they align with two or three completely different types of archetypes. So we don't want to feel boxed in. We can all do these things, of course, but we're just taking a look at what we notice ourselves doing the most. All right, so let's go on with the healer by talking first about the dimensional healer. This healer feels drawn to help large groups of people, species of plants and animals, or environments that have fallen prey to hostile invaders. These healers can often be found doing such things as leading the efforts to preserve a species, restoring the broken spirits in a war-torn region, or using their magical talents to bless and cleanse polluted water resources. Dimensional healers enjoy working with groups who share their interests, and they are adept at raising aligned powers to enhance their magical work. They may also choose to assist groups of beings in other dimensions. In order to achieve healings beyond the veil, dimensional healers often join forces with their counterparts in other realms. And just for the sake of imagery and thinking about etheric constructs that as a healer you might create and develop and take with you, examples of a magical icon for this type of healer might be a very large orb of light or a large enlivened root system, things that are going to reach out, things that are going to blanket areas, things that are large. And those are just a couple examples. I'm sure each of you work with your own already. In your mind's eye, I'm sure you are already seeing things that you work with. If you resonate to this type of healing and feel that this is part of your calling on how to serve during this lifetime. All right, so the next kind of healer is the cosmic healer. The cosmic healer serves as a shining pillar of planetary support. These gifted beings are usually aware of their unusual abilities and joyfully commit to working with the vibrational energy streams that energize all parts of our 3D world. They also serve as liaisons between angelic overseers and the many sentient species here on Earth. Many work with the Earth itself, feeling deep ties to the relative health of our planet at any given time. They perceive the health and organic nature that resides in minerals and other elements that many don't recognize as sentient. These healers often choose to work alone or as part of a small, intimate group. It's vital that they sustain a specific vibrational resonance with their ethereal source, and so they're hesitant to involve others, as any outside element might prove to disrupt their delicate connections. However, they're more than willing to contribute to magical group efforts as a separate but aligned force. And a couple examples of icons for these types of healers might be pillars of light or etheric sanctuaries or even etheric grid systems. They very often find themselves working with our planetary grid structures, large scale channels of energy that are coming to Earth from other regions, other realms. And so those are the types of healers that are very often working in a mystical way within the other realms almost entirely, not so much in the 3D world as the other two types might. And finally, we come to the auric healer, Auric. The auric healer enables sentient creatures to obtain relief from disease, pain, despair, astral injuries, and other personal afflictions. These are the dedicated souls who tirelessly use their magic through such activities as the laying on of hands. I'm going to reread that. I'm sorry, we have a dog that's restless today and a bark out of nowhere. These are the dedicated souls who tirelessly use their magic through such activities as the laying on of hands, the prescription of natural remedies, the speaking of charged words of power, and other techniques proven to heal and repair weakness or decay. These healers are deeply rewarded for their work by the gratitude reflected in their patients' eyes. Not only do these healers work with physical ailments, but they're also able to assist with the healing of auric fields and other spiritual impairments. Auric healers prefer to work with one person or an animal or a plant per session. However, they're open to working with small groups to achieve certain goals. As team members, they're open to participating in many types of magical groups and are usually eager to add their assistance wherever it's needed. Examples that you might envision that this type of healer could take with them in an etheric realm would be a magical potion, or they may envision their hands as glowing. These kind of very personal touches resonate strongly to this type of healer. And it was mentioned in that one about the teams, magical teams. So this is another advantage to getting to know what your magic, what your archetype might be and how you prefer to function, what you see yourself doing. Because as we move into the future, that I believe will be highly affected by those who are choosing to use magic specifically to achieve results here for all of us, for a collective, and to help us move on to this benevolent timeline that we are hoping we can merge onto as a human race. For all of you that are taking part in these types of activities, it can be very helpful to understand your function. You may meet 2 or 3 people that you can trust and you feel like you'd like to do some work with. And then it's helpful to say, oh, what do you like to do? Oh, sometimes the healer will find that they're teamed up with a warrior and a guardian or something, and the healer knows, oh, great, because I am here to do the healing and the repairing. Other times you'll find that you group with several healers at once for a certain kind of task. Sorry. So this is the kind of way you can use the archetypes to see where you fit in, not only assess yourself and get more deep knowledge about yourself, but to be able to know how you could fit in to help others. And this archetype just kind of captures the holistic view of what you normally do and how you normally operate. All right, so that's really all for today about the healer, the magical archetype of the healer. And I will be back shortly and be sharing many more of these archetypes to come. I'll say goodbye for now.